how hard it is. It's not an easy job. All right. We're not going to move the show along, Andy. I think we've got things on a bit of a roll right now, and I think it's time to proceed with... What's going on? People, would you please... Oh, no, it's a streaker! It's a streaker, everybody! Oh, what? No. Why a streaker tonight of all nights when David Letterman's here?
We left specific instructions, no streakers.
I gave orders that there'd be no streakers tonight. I apologize to everyone. There'll be no more nude 50-year-old men running through the audience throughout the show. Please accept my apology. All right, streaker's gone. We can all relax. My first guest tonight called this studio home for 11 years, and it is a real pleasure to welcome him back. Ladies and gentlemen, David Letterman.
You know, I was really excited and thrilled and very much looking forward to the occasion until I see a guy pretending to be fat and naked running through the...
We can't get anyone to really do it.
And then I said to myself, well, the executive talent at GE really hasn't changed much at all. This naked guy...
Well, I've been fired now. Thank you very much.
I love what you've done with the place, by the way. Just very, very nice.
No, I chose these colors myself.
It's very strange for me to be here. I was actually here a couple of, about 6 weeks ago. We were shooting some silly videotape outside of the building, and it was about 9 o'clock in the evening, and people said, well, let's go on upstairs to the 6th floor where you used to work and take a look around. And so we came up in here, and it was just like it was now, except you folks weren't here. Well, most of you weren't here. And then we, looked around, looked at the commissary, looked at the nightly news set, and then we left. And then 2 days later, in the newspaper was an article that we had broken in, pushed our way past the guard, and I had gone up to Bryant Gumbel's office and taken a nap. What more heinous a stunt could a man pull? I don't care who sees me. I'm sleeping on this couch, boys. Cover me. I'm taking a nap.
You like it, though? You really like what we've done here? Does it look good?
Yeah, it does look good. And the thing that I liked about it when I came in here, I was in this studio since 1981. We did a morning show.
You did the morning show here?
Right here,
I didn't
exactly.
Know that.
And it was comforting to me to see that you guys have carved out a completely new identity for yourselves. And when I watched the show, it was funny. When I first watched the show, it was a little difficult for me because they say late night, and I'd think, hey, Keen.
I'll be on.
Yeah. And then it would be Conan O'Brien, Late Night with Conan, and I'd say to myself, and this is how stupid I am, I would say to myself, oh, geez, I wish I had a show. It was very odd. I know that's pathetic, but that's my life. And then as I would watch it, and the truth of it is, when I first started watching your show, it always kind of made me wince a little bit because I thought, well, I don't know, it's not really me, it's not my show. But the more I watched the show, I realized you guys do an incredible amount of comedy and stuff that is produced that is very high level. And the volume and the quality of the stuff just knocks me out. And I think you've really done a great job to carve out a wonderful identity for yourselves. And there's nothing like this show anywhere on television. And I really, really appreciate that. I think you did a nice job.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would say
You realize, of course, that was before I saw the naked guy in the audience.
I know. I'm sorry. I really am. I'd say the biggest drawback we've had so far is that you had a very funny window. on your show.
Yeah, we had a great window.
You had a very
great
funny
set,
window,
yep.
and my window, it isn't very funny. Look at this.
Yeah,
just please do me the
I
favor.
just came from a show like that where there were crickets and wind blowing. On tonight's show, I spent the first, you talk about screwing things up. I'm 46. I've been in television since 1969. You would think that the simple things would be under control. Tonight, for the first 10 minutes of my show, we went down to Times Square with a live camera, and there's a guy in a patrol booth, a little safety booth, the size of a phone booth. And so we were going to talk to this guy, and he comes out of the booth, and he introduces himself to me, and for the first 10 minutes of the show, I call the guy Lou. That's fine. The guy's name is Ray.
Lou is funnier than Ray. I
If he had
defend that
been
choice.
naked, that would have been good.
Come on, show me how it's done.
Anyone?
Right there.
And when we're done here tonight, I'm going to take a nap on your couch, buddy, and nobody can stop me.
Completely unstoppable. I want to ask you something. This is a question that people wouldn't expect, but when I first got this job, I came here to 30 Rock.
How did you get this job, by the way? Was it a theme writing contest? Or
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It was a what would I do with a talk show, and I was fourth. But I went up and we shot a remote in one of your offices. It was actually in your office.
Up on the 14th floor.
Yeah, you had moved out, and I noticed on the windows of your office, thick sheets of plexiglass were covering all the windows.
That's right.
Protective covering, and I thought, what a sick man. Now, what is that? What was that all about?
Well, first of all, let me correct you. It's not plexiglass. It's a product made by GE, and it's half-inch Lexan. It's bulletproof glass. It's what they use around hockey arenas, so guys can't bust through and shatter glass.
Okay.
And it's funny, when that was put up there, the guys who did the work, I know they thought I was nuts. Like, here's a guy, it was snipers. Oh, yeah, snipers are after Letterman. Got to get the bulletproof glass in place. Letterman thinks there's snipers. But we had been in that office for 10 or 11 years, and many of the staff members at the time and people who are still with us would come up there and we would do stuff. We would heave stuff around, and we would take batting practice, we would play soccer, we would play football, we would play baseball. And one day during batting practice, that's why the show used to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
I was, taking full cuts, and I swung around and lost control of the bat, and it shot right through one of the windows. Now, we were on the 14th floor above the intersection of 51st and 6th Avenue. There.
Yes.
And so the bat just wedges in the glass and is teetering on the ledge. And so I thought, now this is a sign, maybe you kids better quit screwing around in the office. But I didn't learn anything from that, and a couple of years later, a woman who works with us now by the name of Mary Connolly and I, we would come in and we would play baseball. We would heave the baseball back and forth, just loosen up, and she and I would kind of heat them in there, kind of duck them under your chin and, see who would flinch. And
Is this
I'm pretty tough when it comes to playing ball with the gals, you know what I mean? Hey, I'll come to your house and take a nap on your couch. That's just the kind of guts I got. So...
Now, when is this? Is this minutes before a show? Shouldn't you really be doing something more productive?
Of course, that can be said of any time of my day. But this was in the afternoon, and it was like in July, early in July, and it was about 2 o'clock. And 6th Avenue was just crowded. It was just a mass of people, going up and down the street and there at the intersection. And she and I are winging balls back and forth, and one gets away from me. And I had wound up pretty good, and it goes into the Venetian blinds of the window, shatters the glass, and drops 14 floors to the sidewalk below. Now, so you think to yourself, well, folks are dead. And it was the single worst moment of my life in this building. But I summoned up the courage, and I got the guts up, and I said to myself, you know, it's situations like this where a person has to be responsible for their own actions. You have to answer for your behavior. You have to know what is the right thing, and you have to do it. And it was then that I sent an intern down to see who was dead.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, listen, we are going to take a quick commercial break. Will you tolerate that?
Absolutely. Whatever you want.
Okay. We're going to step away for 1 second, make a lot of money for NBC, and then we're going to come back with David Letterman.
Let me guess. You crave a big, bold taste. You crave the wave.
Everybody wants it. What you gonna be? Everybody wants it. Baby, don't you see?
A lot of flavors.
Everybody wants it. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants it. So what's it gonna be?
Wild.
Crave the wave.
Starting now, this is the way you'll condition your hair. New Light Step Conditioner. Foam in. Don't rinse. Tangles out. Light Step No Rinse Foam Conditioner from Studio Care by L'Oreal. It's fast, easy, light.
When you receive your pre-approved Discover Card application, sign it.
Oh, thank you.
Because you can't earn cash back until you get it back. It pays to discover.
We invented light beer, made the rules.
This must be the front row.
We can change them. Introducing new light ice from Miller. Ice brewed and less filling. 100% ice brewed for a taste that's more of what you want. Definitely light for less of what you don't.
New beer. New rules. How you doing?
New light ice from Miller.
It's figure skating's premier event. Tom Collins presents the Campbell Soups 1994 Tour of World Figure Skating Champions. See the Olympic gold, silver, and bronze medalists Oksana Bayul, Brian Boitano, Nancy Kerrigan, Victor Petrenko, Lou Chen, Gurdavian Grinka, Elvis Stoica, Saria Bonali, Scott Davis, and more. The greatest figure skaters in the world come together for one unforgettable event.
Coming to the Springfield Civic Center April 26th. Tickets on sale now at all Ticketmaster outlets.
This week on News Center 22 at 6.
It kills 35,000 men each year, more often striking African Americans. It's the killer men don't want to discuss, prostate cancer. I'm Barry Krieger. Join me for a special 3-part series that focuses on detection and treatment of this slow-growing killer, including one controversial therapy that requires no treatment at all. Meet a man actively fighting his cancer and learn where to call for more information and screenings. Prostate cancer, the killer men don't want to discuss, this week on News Center 22 at 6.
I'm here with David Letterman. Sir, a lot of people were watching the Olympics this week, and they were watching your show. You sent your mom to the Olympics, which got a lot of publicity. And I was wondering, does she have the bug now? Does she want to keep going?
You know, first of all, that was an actress. That wasn't my mom. A woman named Sylvia Henderson, and she's great. And Mom did audition, but wasn't right.
Wasn't quite there.
No,
all right.
Yeah. It's very strange because Mom may be the least demonstrative person I've ever been around. She's very shy, very soft-spoken when she speaks. Very soft-spoken. And we just decided to send her over there, and we didn't really understand what was going to happen. And it turned out to be fairly nice, but as far as continuing this sort of thing, I don't think she's going to Bosnia to cover the trouble there.
Are other networks vying for her time, for her attention?
Oh.
Is there any chance she'll be on the 12:30 slot? CBS?
Well, I guess anybody can get a show at 12:30, Conan.
Yeah.
I
if I had a cap, I'd doff it to you. I really would.
But it was, my fears is now, here's a woman who is my mother, so you figure she got to be older than I am. You know, it'd be odd if we were roughly the same age. And
it gets a little strange.
She's 73 years old, and I thought, oh my goodness. And people are over there falling down and busting their legs and stuff, and I just thought, the worst thing that could happen, forget the press, if she gets killed over there. That would just be ugly, that would put an end to the whole thing right there. And I just had visions of like a bobsled going haywire, and there's Dave's mom standing a little too close. Because of the credentials Dave got for his mom, she was able to look right over the bobsled rail and caught one in the head. And but she had a great time. And the last couple of days, I don't know, maybe it was the last week, she was rooming with the Italian bobsled team. So I thought, had a girl mom.
Did you ever think, all those years, those 11 years, did you ever think of using her on the late night show here?
We occasionally Mom would call on the phone and we would chat with her about various things. We had her one night call up, and as a kid, she used to make these fried bologna sandwiches. And because we were in about our second or third year and completely out of ideas, we decided it would be fun to have Mom call in, and on the phone she would talk me through making a fried bologna sandwich. And so it was one of those deals where I was so excited because as a kid I remember nothing being quite so flavorful as this fried bologna sandwich. And I remembered it as being a lot more elaborate than the sandwich Mom did for us on the air that night. I thought it was like fried the bologna and a little butter, and then you put like mayonnaise, and then you put lettuce, and then you put tomato, and then you put mustard. And I thought, this is...
You ate like Elvis, pretty much.
And so Mom gets on the phone, and she kind of takes us through it, and she says, all right, David, now fry the bologna. Okay, now put it on a slice of bread. All right, now put on another slice of bread. And I said, okay, yeah, now what, Mom? And then she says, enjoy. I got the fried bologna sandwich.
My only regret was that you didn't use her on that old show, because then your mother would be the intellectual property of this show. We could use her for all kinds of things.
Oh, my good heavens.
Just a thought that occurred to me. I remember a couple of years ago, I don't remember how many years ago it was, but...
well, pick a number, nobody cares.
All right.
That's what I do. I just make stuff up all the time.
I think it was 1952.
The guy's name is Ray. I call him Lou. Nobody cares.
No one's keeping track. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. I remember that you did something with Carson, where Carson stole your car.
Yeah. That's
This was something that at the time I couldn't tell how much of this is fact, how much of it is fiction. Can you straighten that out for us?
Well, from what you said so far, it's all true. Johnny Carson and I used to live in a part of Malibu. It's called Point Doom, and it's just this beautiful little neighborhood, and it kind of juts out into the Pacific. Now Johnny Carson lived in the $8 million side of town, and I lived in about the $100,000 side of town. And I had, in those days, and still do, a 1973 Chevy pickup truck. And the thing that I loved about this truck was it was just beat to hell. There's like 1,000 dents, and because of the sea air, all of these dents would rust, and it really got to be quite an eyesore. But the uglier it got, the more pride I had in having this pickup truck parked outside of my house. So one day I was a guest on Johnny's show. You remember Johnny.
It's all so vague.
And
I'm 14 years old. This is a clip-on tie.
And so I'm on the Tonight Show telling my little stories and trying to get laughs and dropping my pants and whatever you got to do to get laughs. And so Johnny, I can tell, he's not paying attention to anything I say. I can see in his eyes that he's waiting to pull the pin on a grenade. He can hardly wait to get this moment. And so finally I wrap up my little skits, my little song and dance, and I'm looking around, and Johnny says, why don't you tell me about that piece of junk you got parked out front of your house? And I said, well, I don't know. And you play along with Carson,
Sure, yeah.
especially in those days. Not so much now, but in those days, you play along. Between you and me, Conan, I can pretty much write my own ticket.
Yes.
But So Carson is whining about my truck being an eyesore, and he says, I have to run by there every day, and it's making me sick. And I said, oh, I don't know what you're getting to. He turns around, they have like a drum roll or something. They open up the curtains, and there in the studio is my pickup truck, and he has swiped it and brought it into Burbank, and it's sitting there, and it's just then serving as a huge embarrassment to me in front of the entire world. So finally, he returns the truck, and I get to looking it over, and I realize that the left front headlight is busted out. So I think to myself, oh, man, I'm salivating lawsuit. That's all I So about 6 weeks later, Johnny and I, with the aid of Judge Wapner, I kind of filed suit against Carson for the damage suffered by to my pickup truck, and Judge Wapner comes on, and Johnny and I are...
Did you do this on the show?
Yeah, on the show. No, we did it in his backyard.
Oh, I don't know.
So Judge Wapner is sitting there, and Carson and I are behind podiums, and it's just like the People's Court. And I, at the beginning of it, I walked over to Wapner and gave him a box of steaks. I thought that was pretty slick. And
smooth move, yeah.
Excellent. And finally, I was able to prove, and I felt very proud of this, that my truck had been damaged when Carson swiped it, and I won a $30 settlement from Johnny Carson. I'm telling you, I felt a little bit like one of his ex-wives. I was in heaven. Get in on that gravy train.
All those years when you were doing the show, here at late night, and then you've since gone on to CBS, did you think that this was all going to get this much attention? Did you think that the whole thing was going to get this kind of... It's just we don't have a lot of time left, and I was just curious, did you think that this was going to happen, that late night would turn into... Because I'm relatively new to it. I had no idea that it was that important to the media or to people in general.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was that important, and NBC had no idea that it was that important.
Be squeegeeing car windows tomorrow.
But you know, it's easy to be flip about it, but the truth of it is, I loved being here, and I still have nothing but really strong positive memories. And the people that I dealt with, and the executives, and the programmers, and the folks that we saw on a daily basis, I felt like we had nice, good, strong relationships. And I don't hold any grudges, and I don't regret anything that has happened. But I am surprised that it did get to be as silly as it was. You know, I mean, it just. But I don't know. That's the way things go.
Well, listen, you're supposed to end on a big laugh. I thought what I'd do is just thank you very much for coming. We are out of time, but this meant a lot to us to have you stop by. It was very nice of you to come by and do that. It goes on for about 9 more minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks very much.
You know, I was thinking about this, Conan, all weekend, and this, by the way, was my worst fear about the show. And it's happened. I just thought, oh. I should have brought the long socks. But you know, see, look at that. How big a dweeb is he? Look at that.
I find it attractive. It's a good look.
But you know, when we did our last show here, and I was kind of wrapping things up, it was really a quiet hope of mine that I would be invited to come back on your show. And I didn't know if you would do it or not. I didn't know what the format would be. I didn't know if you'd have any place for me.
It was all country music for a while, and then... Then we got into this, which seems to work a little better.
I used to be able to go and see Carson on The Tonight Show, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, and I loved it. And I realized that for one reason or another, I probably wasn't going back to The Tonight Show.
Sure, Jay would have you on.
So to be able to come here, and I hope you'll be nice enough to invite me back. It's just been great fun, and I think you guys do a terrific job.
Well, thank you. I know you have to go to the MSG for the ESPYs, which is a tongue twister now. You have to leave.
Oh, it's a big night for me,
Big night
folks.
for you.
Big night for me and my socks.
But listen, thanks again. Do come back and visit us, and best of luck on your show. It's great. Congratulations. David Letterman. We'll be right back.